good morning, good morning, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an amazing show for you today. I am sure you will enjoy speaking with our guests. I have learned so much already just from reading their information and speaking with them backstage. So while I'm getting ready to introduce our first guest, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do, and that is to go out and be an evangelist for the show. That's right. I want you to find the person that needs to hear this show the most and text them, tweet them, inbox them, whatever you have to do. Get on the phone with Grandpa and let him know the Roundtable Talk Show is live, because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. And why would you? We're sharing so much information. We're taking notes. They have to join in. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first guest. And I was so intrigued by her bio, because I love working with entrepreneurs and speaking with entrepreneurs, especially ones that decide to do something a little bit different. I want to go ahead and introduce Miss Krystle Phillips, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her business, being the founder of Roll Ice Cream. And it's a Thai-inspired ice cream, which some say is a little different. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here.
Where are you located?
I am currently in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, I love your accent. Like, I'm a fan of accents. I don't know. When you say certain things with an accent, doesn't matter what you say, it just sounds good.
But the thing is, you can't hear your own accent. So I sound pretty regular to me.
Probably with everyone out there. But Roll Ice Cream LLC. Please give us the story and the history behind Roll Ice Cream.
Okay, well, Roll Ice Cream in itself is a type of ice cream that was originated in Asia, Thailand to be specific. So it is an ice cream made on a coal pan. Have you guys ever been to Cold Stone?
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorites. That's why I'm living my 600-pound life now.
And have any of you ever had a roll ice cream?
Yes.
Right. So you all are my people. So basically, it started to blow up in the US just about 4 years ago. And we started off selling on eBay and Amazon. And, to get more control over our own products, we launched our own websites. And business has been good, We sell worldwide. In the Caribbean, in the US, in Europe, it has been a pretty wild ride in this particular niche because it's so new, so different, so diverse. It's a lot of educating and informing about the product itself.
Okay, so are you selling ice cream on eBay?
No, I sell the equipment.
Okay, the equipment.
Correct, the equipment, the ingredients, and the supplies. And a lot of the times the blueprint to start the business.
Oh, wow. So you offer people the opportunity to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner. So often people ask me, what is the number one business that is guaranteed to be successful? And my response to them is always the business that you are willing to do day in and day out. But so many people are looking for new opportunities, looking for something to throw themselves into. So what makes your product, your business, this ice cream so different?
What makes it so different? It is I'll start with what makes the business different. The business of selling roll ice cream is a lot different because the cost to enter is pretty low. You don't need a whole lot of equipment as though you're selling soft serve or hard ice cream. You essentially just need your ice cream, a freezer, and a chiller. And of course, your supplies. So the cost to enter is pretty low. The turnover is pretty high. So let's say your creation costs you just about $2 maximum. It costs to create, you sell this for $7. And $2 is the highest this will possibly do. It's usually between $1 to $1.50.
So what type of ice cream is roll ice cream?
Roll ice cream is whatever you make it. So as I like to say, as the artist, what you produce is up to you. So we have customers that do alcoholic ice cream, vegan, sugar-free, halal, dairy-full. It's different. So each store may have a lot of different offerings or just one type of offering. So, and it's based on what the store decides to produce. So if the store decides to create their own base, because the base is the core of any ice cream. So if the store decides to create their own base with their own special mix, they could do that. If they decide to buy a premix, which is a powder, they could do that. If they want to use liquid ice cream, they could do that, and they could alter the formula to suit their taste and or their market.
So there's a lot of customization and personalization that goes into what you do.
Yeah, it's available. And what I personally love about the product is that it could be customized for each customer, because no two people are the same, right? I like everything on my ice cream, everything. Whatever you have, just put it, and I'll just buy a bottle of water to drink behind it. I want everything. But somebody else might be watching their diets, and they have allergens, they're not doing gluten, they don't want this, but they still want to enjoy ice cream.
I love ice cream.
Customer. Yeah. Right. So you make the ice cream to suit each individual customer. So Krystle and Mark and David and everybody could get an ice cream to suit them specifically. That is what I love about it. And you see exactly what is going into your product. So you'll see fresh strawberries, you'll see cheesecake, you'll see raisins, you'll see cookies. You know exactly what is going in to create your product, because it's done, right before your eyes. It's awesome.
I love ice cream. Ice cream is actually my weakness. That's like the thing that gets me. And it's so funny because I talk about when I launched the show, I came up with the idea on March 3rd. And the show actually launched on March 30th. And in that time frame, I had this whole talk with Sharifa, and I was like, we're going to get ready. We're going to get fit. Yeah, I did a 7-day juice cleanse. I've been drinking all my water, eating healthy. And then COVID hit, and I'm in McDonald's ordering mocha frappes. And I'm like, I just need to feel better. And then yesterday, that was like March, but let's go back to September 14th. I was like, I wanted some ice cream. I was like, I just want some ice cream. And then I'm supposed to be doing keto now because I'm trying to lose all this weight.
I did keto like 2 months ago. I'm with you. As soon as I did my keto, I went straight for ice cream.
Well, I'm on keto. And so I go to Baskin Robbins yesterday because I wanted some ice cream. And I asked the lady, I'm like, because I had Googled it and it exists at some Baskin Robbins. So I said, do you have any keto ice cream? And she looked at me like I had a third eye. I'm like, okay, well, just give me some of the cookie dough. Like, I don't care. Just give me some ice cream. So this is interesting. I want to come back to you, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest because she is the queen of branding. So we're going to talk a little bit about what she has going on, and maybe she has some tips for how to improve your ice cream and how to get it out there. But Faith James is the CEO of her own company, and she is a branding ninja. Hit her with a slap. Good morning, Faith. How are you?
Good morning, beautiful. I'm so good. I love every time I get introduced. I love when we all like kind of go into the action. It's fun. It raises your vibration. It puts you in a higher order thinking. So thank you for having me. Thank you all for what's already a very fun, spirited conversation, because who doesn't like starting the morning off with ice cream? So there we go.
Yes. I have my ice cream in the fridge too. So when I finish this at 9 a.m., I'm about to get another scoop. But I'm going to go in a different direction with you for a minute, Faith. I love your title and your energy, but one of the things that we talk about on the show a lot is this whole imposter syndrome. Sometimes we feel like, who am I to say I'm the queen of something? Who am I to say I'm an expert? And you're like, no, this is what I do. I'm the queen. Branding is who I am and what I know. Was that difficult for you?
It's a great question, and it's definitely something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, because certainly when you come from behind the corporate wall, I spent 25 plus years in corporate, advertising, marketing, and branding. You don't have that name in front of you to say, oh, I'm so-and-so with, right? It's just you. But what I like to say is, like, me and God are a majority.
Amen.
So when I say I'm the queen of branding, it is because it's divinely downloaded to me. God says I'm a masterpiece. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. So I know I have royalty running through my veins. And so I just step with the quickness and the knowing that this divine purpose that's in me is truth. It's light, it can be nothing else. And it's just for me to get aligned with that and do the work to really make that manifest. So no, it wasn't difficult for me, because one of the things that I say to myself, my clients, is you need to have God be the chairman of your board. And actually my third book that I'm working on right now is called God is My Brand Strategist. So when I sit and ask those questions to myself, but then I imagine, I visualize that I'm sitting and God's right here in front of me and he's asking me, can you really do these things that you out here saying you can do? And if I can look God in the face and say, yes, I'm good. It's just for the rest of the people to come along. So, it doesn't just come with bravado. I mean, there's years and years of actual work and brand transformations that happen. I mean, for example, I have a client, when she presented to me, she was a cashier at Steinmart. Now she's the CEO and founder of her own company. She's just launching her second program. She's got people enrolled. She's doing what she loves to do. And for me, that is the truth of when I say I'm the queen of branding, in the sense that I understand what it takes to get somebody into momentum, into brand momentum. So it doesn't matter where you are. God says never despise small beginnings. So don't look at it like, oh, well, I don't have, 150 million followers on Instagram. That's the details. Bloom where you're planting. And if it's good, it's good. Whether it's rolled or if it's frozen, if it's good ice cream, it's just good ice cream.
Yes, who cannot like ice cream? I love ice cream. So Faith, listening to Krystle share her story, was there anything from a branding aspect that stood out to you?
Yeah, for the first bit of the conversation, sure, if you ask the question, what is rolled ice cream? And I think that for most people, it's probably a little bit cloudy or total unknowing. So I would say you want to make sure that people understand why life is not as good as it can be for them because they don't have rolled ice cream in their life, right? Because you think like the Haagen-Dazs is good enough. You think that the Baskin Robbins is good enough. What is it that's so different? And when I heard Sharif ask you the question, for me, I would just say, have that ready. Like that's sort of like a we call it a killer question, right? Have that ready. So when people ask you, you can say with the quickness, this is what it is. This is what it's missing. It's sort of like, the difference between, 1800 thread count Egyptian cotton versus 240 polyester that you might get, at the Dollar Tree. Shout out to all the Dollar Tree people.
Well, what I usually tell customers, the main difference is the level of creativity that is put into the product. It is different because roll ice cream is a production. It's a show. It is entertainment. Because it isn't like soft serve, you just, press a lever and it's there, or hard ice cream, you just scoop and it's there. It's an entire show. It's a performance. It is quite similar to Cold Stone, where you see your ice cream actually being chopped, rolled, decorated, and presented for you, made for you, just for you. This is your
right. And I think that's good. So when I hear that, as a strategist for 25 plus years, like I said, I work on brands like IBM and Microsoft and AG Edwards, et cetera. So I stand in the voice of the consumer to represent them. And what are they always going to say? It's sort of like that. So what, they tuned into WIIFM. What's in it for me? Like sometimes we just want the ice cream. Like when you say, oh, turn on the light, I'm not going to say, well, how does that wattage work? And how does the light company actually get right? We're just like, cut the light on. So I think it's understanding. And I love that you say it's like a performance, because there are going to be some people for whom that's the most important thing going. It's like the essence and the luxuriating over the production. Some people just want the ice cream. So it's important to know who it's for. But at the end of the day, I mean, whether it's, and I love that there's gluten-free and all these different things, because I too love the ice cream, but the ice cream doesn't love me. So.
But remember, I'm selling the machinery, not the finished product. I don't have an ice cream shop selling the finished product. I'm selling the machinery. So that's my sales pitch is on both items. It's on the quality of the machinery, the support that you get, the after-sales support, the technical support, the parts support, the training, the follow-up, your business plan and your menu development, your recipe development, your financing, and all these wonderful things that you get from us.
Yes.
So most of my customers coming to me or have already decided that, okay, I want to
roll is the way to go.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to either add this product to my store, or I want to create a store surrounding this product.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't really need to sell them on the benefits of the roll ice cream.
No, that's a good point, because you're not going to the end user. You're going it's a B2B play. Yeah, no,
Right.
Yeah,
that's,
So when
so
I'm
it's the
selling my
opportunity.
customer,
It's the opportunity.
yeah.
And
correct.
one of the things that Faith does is she speaks to ladies and women entrepreneurs, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for more and more opportunities for us to be in control of our lives, and for
Yeah.
us to be solopreneurs. So, Krystle, Faith, I want to come back to you, but I want to go
Sure.
ahead and introduce our next guest, and he's just been listening so patiently, enjoying the back and forth in the conversation. I want to go ahead and introduce Mr. Mark Herschberg, and he's going to talk to us about the Career Toolkit book, but he is also a serial entrepreneur. So just like Faith and some of our other guests, this is not his first rodeo. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for joining us. What do you think of the conversation thus far?
It's been enjoyable. And, some of my businesses have been B2B marketing. So it's really interesting to think about the value proposition that you're offering. And I've been running in my head how I'd think about branding it, but didn't want to interrupt our queen of personal branding.
Ninja.
No
Ninja, sorry.
interruption at all. I love to hear your thoughts, Mark.
Sure. Well, certainly on branding, when we think about, you're saying your customers are people who are already sold on coming onto this product, but there's an additional set of people who are still considering it, who are saying, should I go and get some ice cream? Should I want to run an ice cream shop, or do I want to go buy a McDonald's franchise or do something else? And those people you can market to. You can create B2B marketing content by saying, this is why ice cream is a better proposition, because who doesn't love ice cream? You can sell that value, and what you're going to do is create a lot of SEO and content that's going to drive people to you. Now, some might still go and do a McDonald's, but the others are going to come back and say, you know what, ice cream is the way I want to go, and rolled ice cream sounds like the future. And now they know you and your brand, and they're going to buy from you and not your competitors.
Okay, we have been doing some of that already. So we have been on top of our SEO game. That was our 2020 goal. So we have significantly upped our SEO. We have been releasing blogs and content like crazy and dispersing them everywhere. We have been doing the B2B marketing. We have been doing the retargeting campaigns and, the necessary stuff. We have we started an animated type explainer videos series that basically explains like the return on investment, that tells you who we are. And we're just releasing, animation after animation, just, doing the educational series.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
would
cool.
love to see that. I love animated videos. I love anything that's unique and it's different and someone put their own spin on it. So I would definitely love to check
So
it out.
none are more than a minute and a half, because we have a very short attention span.
Yes. I know I do. Every time I see a squirrel, I'm off somewhere.
Or
Mark,
a butterfly.
yes, absolutely. You are a serial entrepreneur. That's one of the things how many companies have you worked with?
Something on the order of about a dozen, some of the universities where we've started some educational programs. In addition to traditional startups, I've also helped some Fortune 50 companies play startup. So I've met companies from 3 to 300,000 people and have been through just about every stage of the process, from being in the garage and trying to get your first dollar from an investor or from a customer, up through going through sales of companies.
Yes. Were you always an entrepreneur as a kid? Were you out there mowing lawns, or you had the lemonade stand? What's your story?
I actually don't think of myself as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I think of myself as someone who really enjoys the growth of a company. For me, the fun part is watching a company go from 3 people to 10 people to 50 to 500, and how it needs to evolve. And although my background was originally in computer science, I started my career as a software engineer, what I found was really the challenge as you grow, what you need to do, what are the skills, how do you need to change and evolve you personally and the company as an organization. And that led me to some of the teaching programs, the 20 years I spent teaching at MIT, and the book, and all these other topics beyond just be a good software engineer or accountant or whatever it is you do. How do you actually execute well in the 21st century?
But it's an interesting journey. my initial journey was startups. I started up companies. I was one of the people who built cheaptickets.com. I built almostgolfperks.com, so many different companies. But one of the things that I've seen is like some of the companies, they start off in the garage and then they get that high rise. Like one of the companies that I worked for, we started in the garage of an auto mechanic shop. Don't ask me why, that's where we were. We got a huge office in El Segundo, California. And anyone who's familiar with California knows that's right where LAX is. So it's a huge area, high rise building. We were in the Xerox building. We were there for less than 6 months before they laid everyone off. So it was like, oh my God, we could have just stayed in the garage. You know, it was like they went and bought these $1,000 chairs and, you know, this huge juice unit that so we can have free juice every day. And then like 3 months later, we don't have a job.
You don't have a job. Somebody
Yes.
needs that feasibility study for sure.
Yes.
You know, we see that so often, the dot-com era of get millions of dollars, spend as fast as possible, profitability be damned, let's just go do it. And to be fair, there was some value of that in the 90s because you had effectively a land rush. There were no other websites. So if you're the first website, grab every customer you can. But
Correct.
as we've matured, we're now in an industry where you don't necessarily have to be profitable your first year or so, or even, but you have to have a clear plan. You have to understand how are we going to achieve growth? How do we balance our financial costs and risks compared to our marketing and customer acquisition? How can we be prepared for things outside our control, perhaps a pandemic or a great recession? Those things apparently happen. And so just to spend money and always assume there's going to be more tends not to work these days. We have to be a little more balanced.
Mark, I love that you say that. So many things are not surprising. Like I always say, you know what, guess what? Christmas should never surprise you because it comes every December 25th. And history leaves clues. And if you are really thinking about really future-proofing, you need to have a futurist on your team or have a consultant who, you know, plays a futurist on TV who can sort of make these markers along the way that says, you know, after a certain point, this market here is going to retract. And if that happens, you know, like write in all the if-then statements, because like I like to say, every day is not Christmas. Like we might be unwrapping a lot of gifts right now, but every day is not going to be Christmas. So, you know, govern yourself accordingly.
I like that.
The H-E-B supermarket chain actually had done some predictive games. They played around back in the fall, or I think right at the beginning of the year, what happens if there's a pandemic? We all saw the reports in January that this was going to happen. And they said, you know, let's invest some time modeling this out. And so when it did hit in March, they were well prepared and capitalized on that opportunity because they asked that what if question.
I think a lot of people were, I mean, there's a blessing in every curse. There's so many companies that were affected, but were able to use this as an opportunity to grow and expand. I think a prime example is Zoom. You know, Zoom stock went up about 800%. You know, Zoom had to stop accepting new customers. You know, that's growth when you just say, you know what, I can't take any more business. Business.
The funny thing is Skype didn't capitalize on this though. Skype was already primed and ready. Skype should have actually gotten that market.
Maybe.
It's like Blockbuster, Netflix all over again.
Yes, I agree.
The Skype experience from a business, and I mean, maybe Mark can speak to it too. You know, we never loved it long time, right? It did not give you that team feeling meaningful. There's a whole lot of different things. I mean, I worked at companies that had Skype, but Zoom just came with the goods in terms of like the interface. It's easy, it's quick. We see the people clearly. It's not, you know, it's not a whole history behind it. And I think that's why they are where they are right now.
Yes, and one of the things that I love about Zoom, because one of the things that I noticed is after the pandemic hit, I was emailed and inboxed by a lot of different companies. Facebook introduced their group meetings. Like you can now do group video chat on Facebook. Google announced their Google meeting. But I love that Zoom integrates with everything. And that, you know, for this show, I go use my Calendly, which integrates with my Zoom, and everything just happens, and I can be the talent. Now, I want to continue this conversation because it's getting good, and we're going to start talking, but then Krystle is going to be mad at me. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Miss Krystle Swearingen. Krystle saves the deal. We're going to talk about her. She's a real estate broker and owner. Krystle, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm learning so much. I wish I had my notebook and pen and paper right now. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I was reading everyone's bio. What an amazingly impressive group. So I'm excited to be here.
You are equally impressive, but we were about to go in a whole different direction, start talking, get deep into the conversation. I was like, let me bring in Krystle, because she's just sitting there. What have you thought of? Okay, so you told us that, but tell us a little bit about your background and about Krystle Saves the Deal.
So Krystle Saves the Deal is kind of the overarching brand for all of the different businesses I have. I've been a real estate agent in the Kansas area since 2007. In 2016, I started my own brokerage, and I own Krystle Clear Realty, because buying or selling, the choice is crystal clear. That's kind of my tagline for that.
That's good.
And then I also branched out to multiple things. Housing was always important to me. I grew up with a lot of housing insecurity. So when I had the opportunity to help people and learn about gaining financial wealth with real estate, I jumped into that. And as soon as I got licensed, I jumped into leadership on the local level, state level, and I'm also on some national committees. I sit on multiple boards representing affordable housing and a lot of other things to try to help people educate themselves about the process of owning real estate. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about the pandemic. I was in Spain when the world shut down.
Oh, wow.
So as I returned home, I had to quarantine for 14 days. And I was just like, I knew that real estate was still going to happen because people were really living in their houses assessing, is this space good? Can I work from here? Can I have my kids go to school from here? And that prediction was correct. It's the busiest year I've had in real estate. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, I have a cafe that I have with my partner, John. It's called Crystal Spot. We're a local jazz and dessert spot. So we have jazz and desserts. Right now, we're not open because of our guidelines in our community. We can't open right now. I also have Krystle's Famous Cobblers, which is a branch of the product I sold in-house, and now we're selling for delivery and shipping. And we do peach, apple, cherry, and blueberry cobblers. It's become a very nice pivot for us because since we can't have customers in, I found a way to give them their favorites at their home. So it's been a great switch for us. And I hope I'm not throwing way too many things out there. But lastly, I started a women's magazine about 1.5 years, it's almost 2 years, called the Spot Mag, Celebrating Women in Business, because I feel like my calling from God is to inspire, empower, and motivate other women. I went from being divorced with 3 kids and no idea how I was going to pay my rent and getting notices on my door to now having multiple businesses and multiple streams of income. And I want to teach and inspire other women how they can take control of their lives and really, focus on important things. I don't remember if it was Mark that said it. I see so many people try to outgrow where they're at, especially realtors. I've been mentoring realtors for the last 10 years. And obviously I have agents at my brokerage, but so many want to spend to get where they want to be instead of focusing on where they're at, having a sound budget, having a sound plan. And I will say with all 4 of my businesses, I was profitable from month 1 because I only focus on profits.
I love it.
Krystle woke up. She was like, I only focus on profits. I think that's amazing. We're going to put a little roll ice cream in one of these shops and then, hey, see what happens.
I'm honestly thinking, I'm like, our rolled ice cream place just closed in town, so should I start a new business?
That would be a wonderful idea.
I'm always trying to find niches of things that are missing. And that's what led us to starting the dessert, cocktail, and jazz lounge. There was no place here in town that did that, as well as the magazine. There was no magazine that focused on this, and now it's a national publication. But I'm like, rolled ice cream could fit in somewhere. Let me see.
Yes. I love the idea, because I always say when I meet successful people, one of the things that stands out to me is they're never satisfied. Successful people are never satisfied. They're always like, what's the next move? What's the next project? What's the next thing that I do? And so I love seeing that you have 4 different businesses, and the whole jazz scene sounds amazing. I wish we had that here in Long Beach, California. I'll be there patronizing you.
Well, I will tell you, I am a licensed realtor in LA. I'm with Nest Seekers Beverly Hills office.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So I traveled
Shout
to
out to $1
California.
million listings.
Yeah, they have a new show, $1 Million Beach House. I did that that was always a dream of mine, to live where it's warm in the winter times and leave here. So I started my brokerage so I'd have the ability to finance me living on the West Coast. So I'll be there at the end of the month, but
Or you could come to the Caribbean.
Listen,
yeah, there you go. But
living the best life.
Crystal spot, the cafe and lounge where friends become family, is our tagline for that business. In California is not too far off. So
Yes.
That's
Faith.
so good. So good. So good. You know, when you said that they're never satisfied, one of the things I thought about was, you know what it is? It's really the calling. It's to whom
Yes.
much is expected and required. And if you have been anointed with gifts and talents, you know, you have to go forth and serve and help the people. So I think, you know, I like to call entrepreneurs multi-passionate. Entrepreneurs. And so, but one of the things I always say, and I say this to Krystle and also to Sharifa, you know, when you think about how to brand the umbrella, like what's the bigger vision that you have, and put it all under one so it makes sense, because, you know, you have to think that people want to know, how do I consume her? What's the thing that I want to go to, you know, whether it's Krystle, anybody, right? So you have to kind of like, what's your lead? What's your dominant leg, right? When you're dancing, Jad, like, you know, what's the dominant leg that leads to really focus in on that. But I just love the calling. I just love the idea of just doing more. And I think that today we're talking about opportunities. I like to say, be the CEO of you.
mm-hmm.
There's so many places to get started. There's so many places, even just to have the conversation. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, was just having people see. And I just love that we're so richly diverse here on this panel. Sharifa, thank you for assembling this group from so many different walks of life. And you just look at it and know all things are possible, right? All things are possible, but you just have to start with asking yourself one question: what if? What if? A lot of people contract and go, oh my gosh, it's a pandemic, it's it. But what if? And if you lean into that what if from any place that you start, then you'll get the next clue and the next clue and the next clue. So I just love what you're talking about, just bringing and spreading the goodness. I would say, use your superpowers for good.
Yes.
Right? And that's what
I say
we're
the
all
same thing.
about.
That's crazy though, because I always say that people should be happy I use my superpowers for good, not evil. Because it's like, I always try to help people and save people. My son says it all the time. He's like, you're always trying to save the world. I'd be like, I don't know. The world just kind of shows up.
You know, to your point, Faith, change. A lot of people see change as scary.
Yeah.
Change is risky. And it can be a problem, but it is equally an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It is an opportunity to say, just as Krystle said, we're going to change how we do, and that could lead to a new type of business model, that could lead to new customers. Other people might recognize that change means, hey, we're missing something, or something went away, and now there's a need. One of Google's, I think, secrets to success, now certainly they were some smart people. The founders, very smart Stanford grads, came up with a fantastic algorithm, a new way of looking at. But Google effectively started during the .com crash. Began technically, I believe, in 98 or 99. And when the crash happened, all of a sudden you had all this tech labor that was looking for a job. And Google said, this is our chance to scoop up the best and brightest people. And they started cherry picking them. And as Google grew, everyone knew the best people were at Google. So the best attracts the best, and everyone else wanted to join Google. And I think they really got a great tailwind by the fact that they were growing during a recession. It allowed them to really accelerate faster than if they had been in a much more competitive labor market.
Yes, there are more millionaires made in a recession during any other time. So you'll have more millionaires created during this global recession than any other time in history, because people have to figure it out. Necessity is the mother of invention. You have to figure out what to do. And that's why I enjoy speaking with my guests, because so many of them will tell me, I wasn't even doing this prior to the pandemic, but I was forced to pivot in my business. And so they found other ways to operate in order to simply survive.
Well,
The
that's what I did
Facebook
with my
live stream isn't up.
Krystle Phillips?
Yeah, I'm saying the Facebook live stream wasn't up. Well, isn't.
Yeah, I saw your message. We'll get it up, record it, everything. Krystle Swearingen, you about to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say that's what started with my cobbler business when we had to close because of the ordinance. So many people called me and like, hey, can we order one of your 5 cheese lasagnas? Can we order the cobbler? Can we order your cornbread? And I was like, well, I don't really know how to sell, like price it. And then once I figured out what my cost was, packaging costs, because obviously as a business, as a restaurant, I think it's very difficult to be profitable with carry out because you have to pay for so many more things. You have to pay for containers, you have to pay for packaging, you have to pay for, there's just all these costs involved. And so once I figured that out, I said, this is another way I can do it because there's no limit on how much I can do for curbside or delivery. And now we're finally implementing the shipping because of my network of people I know from all over the country because of my relationship with National Association of Realtors. I've got people in Boston and like, can I order one of your cobblers? I have people in LA that want to order cobblers. So now that I've got that would have never happened if I was still comfortable with having my cafe open 3 days a week because I wouldn't have had the mind space or the time. Yeah. So I think what you're saying is so important. I mean, I've been able to grow my magazine even because I have the time to reach out to new writers and to new advertisers to really get them in front of it. So
yeah. So was that a peach cobbler? Is that what we're discussing?
Yes, I do peach cobbler, cherry, blueberry, and apple. I can pretty much
deliver it to Long Beach.
Well, like I said, we're finalizing all of the shipping and figuring out the cost analysis of it. But I'll be in Marina Del Rey at the end of the month, so maybe I can hook up with you and get you a peach cobbler.
I would love that. That's a 25, 30. Look, depending on what time the 405, it may be an hour, maybe 20 minutes.
Well, my cousin lives in Long Beach, so I'll just get it to her and she can get it to you.
Oh yeah, come visit your cousin in Long Beach. We'll have tea. We'll have
I love it.
I don't know what you do. But it was something interesting that you mentioned when we were talking about the change in times and pivot. One of the questions that I like to ask people in real estate is what do they see as some of the trends? And it's just been so interesting because I have had people who said, absolutely no way, this is not time to buy, do not buy anything. Then the first guest that I had said, buy now, you can get everything for pennies on the dollar. Now, he just so happened to be in Las Vegas, so I'm not judging, but I'm just saying there are different viewpoints because some people say, don't buy. I had one guest on my show. He said, Sharifa, I'll tell you right now, I've made more money in real estate during this global pandemic than I ever had. And part of the reason was he was able to show more houses. Via Zoom, he just set up the appointments and they could see them virtually versus having to meet the clients there, wait for them, show them this property, then go to this property. So he wound up making more money. There are people who say, yes, residential is on the rise, whereas commercial is down the drain. What are you seeing as some of your thoughts?
Real estate is local, so it really depends on where you're at. But at least the realtors I speak to quite frequently, what I'm seeing, it's 100% a seller's market. If you own inventory, if you've been a landlord, or if you've been holding properties, things are selling astronomically high. The concern I have, because I was a realtor when the bubble happened before, is we're going to end up in something like that. I mean, people are not paying mortgages right now. We know there's a moratorium, depending on what kind of loan you have, but eventually it's going to get to a point where things start coming down. I work with a lot of investors who called me like March 30th, like, hey, we need to start buying these foreclosures. I'm like, foreclosures take so long depending on what state you're in. In Kansas, we're a judicial state, meaning that it could be a year or a year and a half of someone not paying their mortgage before that house goes to foreclosure. So if you're an investor, this is a terrible time to buy because properties are appreciated at a very high rate. I've lost some deals this year because I tell my first-time home buyers, hey, there's 11 offers on this house. It's already overpriced price per square footage. If you buy this house in 3 years when you want to sell, I'm going to have to tell you, you're going to take a loss. And I won't do that. I tell people I'm the realist in real estate. I'm going to tell you the truth no matter what it is. Even if you don't like it, if you don't want to work with me, that's fine. But I don't want to get into relationships with these people where they're buying these properties at a price too high. So what I've been encouraging my buyers to do is buy something that may be priced a little bit lower, but you could put sweat equity in. There are still some opportunities like that. Buyers have been on this HGTV fantasy for the last 5 years. They think the house is supposed to look just like on TV with the marble. Houses don't look like that necessarily, but if you can find something and put like $5,000 in it and you're paying a good price per square footage, then in the future, no matter what natural inflation is and appreciation, you're going to make a profit or at least get your money out of it. But sometimes I'm baffled by the pricing of some of these houses. Like 900 square foot homes in my area, usually, 80 to 120 a square foot, and now they're 250 and up per square footage. And that house is only worth what it's worth.
Yes, but I've seen that in commercial as well. One of the things that I'm seeing, and I live in downtown Long Beach, close to the water. And when the riots and the looting and everything happened, everything literally was just destroyed. And so now when I walk up out my house and I go down to the main street, all I see is just boarded up real estate, just boarded up. And I could just think to myself, to someone, that's going to be a blessing because they have the opportunity to come in and start their own business from a brick and mortar aspect. But when you think about the price of real estate by the square foot here in Long Beach, it's outrageous.
Yes, it's LA County is unbelievable.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Even with private, residential. Go ahead, Faith.
I was just gonna say, my husband and I actually bought our house during the pandemic. Like we closed on the house where I am now in Florida, May 14th. Not necessarily planned, it was just the timing of life where we were looking to move and then the pandemic hit, but it worked out fine. One of the things that I think just from a consumer mindset behavior standpoint that I think just regardless of what business you're in to keep in mind is when they instituted mandatory sort of, pickup spots at Best Buy. Listen, I was living my best life. Buy it online, go there, open the back of the truck, throw in the TV, and we're out. So I think that to really, again, where I kind of keep, harping on the futurists and sort of behavioral patterns is, are people going to ever go back to 100% the way they were doing things before? I wrote a blog recently about, three things you can do to like show up, like a pro on Zoom, because Zoom or whatever your video conference platform, it is here to stay. And one of the things to think about is like, this is where your brand is showing up. This isn't just that, we have to do a quick Zoom. No, this is the meeting. This is the meeting now. So would you show up to a meeting where you're pitching a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 CEO the way you're showing up on your Zoom? So I just think that, let's think about the behaviors moving forward and shift accordingly. Like, it's not like, go pick up, drop off, curbside was a thing and it's going to be here. And so how do businesses, Zooms and video meetings are going to be here. How do you integrate that as part of, now the quote unquote, the new norm? I don't see it going back 100% at all in any form or fashion. One of the things for me is, like I said, I came up with the idea for the Roundtable Talk Show on March 3rd. Had it not been for a global pandemic, I don't believe I would have ever in my wildest dreams, even though I sought out to do that, had 5 guests per day. There were so many people who still in March of 2020 had never heard of Zoom. What is Zoom? It's too complicated for me. I don't know how to log on. I only talk to people in person. I only meet in person. I don't do that virtual online stuff. And this global pandemic hits and everybody's in front of their computer. So I have more guests who have the time available to be able to have these conversations. But I also have more guests who are looking for more opportunities. We talked about some of the industries that were hit hard. Speakers were hit hard because many of the speakers, even the most successful of successful speakers, are used to traveling and going from place to place to place, to speaking here, speaking at this college, speaking at this university, speaking at this organization, speaking at this corporation, and they are sitting at home. One of the things that I looked at is during this time, when you looked at the Wendy Williams of the world, when you looked at the Trevor Noahs of the world, when you looked at Jimmy Kimmel, they all were doing their shows at home. Jimmy Kimmel would do the show with his 2 daughters at the kitchen table. Trevor Noah's in the bed. I'm like, Trevor. In his hoodie. Like, he's living his best life in his hoodie.
So I'm like, Trevor, if you don't get out the bed, like, but it leveled the playing field. So I'm like, if they could do a show, I could do a show.
Absolutely.
I love
here's where it's also an opportunity. As I'm going around promoting my book, I was looking and saying, all right, I'm gonna have to fly to all these different cities. I'm gonna have to get venues, I'm gonna have to figure it out. And now I have this great opportunity where instead of spending a day traveling, I can go 1 hour, next hour, next hour. And I'm not doing it because I'm being lazy. I'm doing it because I'm being socially responsible.
But that's changed though. This is why, people are so surprised. I built my first website in 1994 and people said I was lazy. That's exactly what they said, Mark. They said you are lazy. It didn't have anything to do with the amount of money that I earned. It's just that if you don't leave the house, if you don't have a 9 to 5, you are lazy.
Yeah.
And now 2020 is like, I'll even go back to 2019. When you look at your executives, when you look at your C-level corporation, the COC, all of them, they're working remotely. They're not about to come into the office. It was basically hourly employees who you had to watch. You had to make sure they did their full 8 hours. They were in the office, but a lot of people started to negotiate that, okay, I'm gonna need at least 1 day remote. That's a part of the contract negotiation. So you see our lives and the times changing. Krystle, Swearingen?
Well, and I was going to say, I've been pretty fortunate that my business has always kind of been like this because of the travel I've had to do with organizations that I've been a part of. I mean, I was using Zoom for my brokerage sales meetings every Tuesday anyways. I was doing online coaching with Zoom before the pandemic. The magazine, I'm in a small town. We're like 75,000 people. So for me to have the reach, I've always had to be I've always had to exist in a virtual world with everyone using online for that. So I think that in that way, I've been very fortunate that I didn't have to make too many changes to what I was already doing and to stay in touch with people.
I think one of the things I was thinking about, for those of us, so I'm calling everybody here, it's like a little bit of a call to arms, that have already lived online and that are comfortable. For those entrepreneurs who are looking at this new thing and like quizzically going, what is this thing and why are they so okay with this? Let's just do whatever we can do to help another entrepreneur get comfortable being online, because that's where the opportunities for sure are going to be. So, whether it's, again, Krystle, you're talking about for your brokers and your agents, maybe showing how to do, the most amazing 3D tour, how to get 10, showings in under 4 hours, having a little train or something, just because why I think a lot of people don't come closer to the campfire is because they're just like, wait a minute, that's an alien. And they're like just talking to that alien like it's just like nothing, like it's all normal. And we're looking in. So whatever I think we can do, because obviously we're really, that just came to me, just whatever we can do to help the other entrepreneurs get comfortable with this medium. I mean, we're talking about pivoting. So much like Krystle, my business has always been online. So from coaching and one-on-one clients, I've always used this platform. But most recently, I'd say probably for the last 2 years, I did a branding over lunch. It was this fab, 5-star, shout out to Kyle G's on Hutchinson Island in Florida, 5-star steak seafood restaurant. And I would do my monthly lunches there and we would just be zhuzh and have a wonderful time. And 2 hours there, I'm giving branding magic. And that was sort of like a lead source, right? So you just paid for the lunch, $30, and you got me for 2 hours, which is unheard of, but then you decide you want to work further. So, that's not happening anymore. But then I also decided, okay, now's the best time to create my online course. So that's one of the things that I'm doing, my brand accelerator program. It's an online hybrid, digital me workshop mastermind with Zoom again. But just, whatever we can do to help entrepreneurs just kind of come into this space, it just sort of, I
agree. That's one of the reasons I created my Powered by Purpose 2-day empowerment teleconference, which is October 9th and October 10th. And it's 2 full days, over 30 speakers where people can learn. And even when I went out for the speakers or the presenters, I said, I'm interested in more in people who can teach than people who can talk. Because entrepreneurs, when they're first starting out, they don't know what to do, they don't know about branding. They don't know what branding looks like. They don't know about marketing. They don't know about, all these different things. So I put together 30 great presenters, October 9th and October 10th. And we're going to help people learn the things that they need to learn about being successful in business. Mark, I want to go over to you because we've been talking and branding and marketing and businesses and a lot of different things, but we did not talk about the Career Toolkit book. Let's talk about the Career Toolkit quickly.
Sure, thank you. A lot of research coming out of MIT, Stanford, and other universities have shown there are a number of skills that companies need to be successful in their employees. These are skills such as networking, negotiation, leadership, communication. And whereas we've taught our children, we say reading's important, we teach them to read, and math is important, and we teach them to do math. We have all heard you've got to have a good network. Networking is so important to your success. But how many people have had any training on networking? Even a single class? It's zero.
It's so true. You know, when I moved here to Florida in 2013, I went to my first like networking and I was like, what is this? So coming from New York, you know, never had to do that. But Carrie, you're right. It's acquired skills for sure.
These are skills we hear it's important, but they're not taught. And so I recognized this in the hiring I was doing about 20 years ago. And at the same time, MIT was saying this is a problem. I got involved with them. So we created a class where we've been teaching MIT students in what's known as the Career Success Accelerator, how to develop these skills. And after doing this for thousands of students, I said, how do I help more people? Because not everyone's sitting in my classroom at MIT. So I wrote the book, and it covers these skills, such as creating a career plan for those who want to either develop the skills to eventually start their own business or move up a career ladder, to learn how to lead, which doesn't mean I have an executive title, I'm a leader, but how you can lead from day one, even as an intern.
Yes.
How to build your network, how to negotiate. And the great thing about these skills, when we think about something as simple as negotiations, if you just spend a couple hours, whether you read my book, another book on negotiation, however you want to do it, your next negotiation, let's take a classic example, you're negotiating your salary. Whether you're earning $60,000 or $160,000, if you negotiate and get $1,000 more, suddenly you've just gotten yourself $30,000 over the next 30 years of your career for just a couple hours of reading and a little bit of negotiation.
I love it.
Good.
Entrepreneur, if you can get a slightly better discount from your supplier, that's going to again be additive and generate tens of thousands of dollars for your business. You don't have to be the world's greatest expert. You don't have to negotiate multinational agreements. You just have to get this much better at negotiating. And the same thing applies to your communication skills, your leadership. It's not about being a world-class expert. It's about just being a little bit better. And that's going to amplify whatever it is that you do, whether you're selling equipment for rolled ice cream, whether you're helping people brand or doing real estate. Just getting a little better in these other skills will amplify your core business.
I think that's great. And I think that's something that we tend to forget. And I'm one of those people who believes that your net worth is in your network. So we need to be able to meet more people, utilize each other's resources. That's why I love to bring people together on this show so we can all learn from each other and share our experiences. Now we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Krystle Phillips.
Oh, I was unprepared.
Everyone always is.
What I would like them to take away is that you aren't restricted by location to do business. I am currently in Trinidad and Tobago, as I said initially, but my business is based out of Florida, which is why I was, saying hey to the other Floridian out there. Don't feel intimidated by something. There's always a new way to have something done. Don't be afraid of something that may seem to be a fad or a niche. Even though it seems to be a fad or a niche now, it's more likely they're not here to stay. Basically don't be afraid. Go brave, go bold, all or nothing.
Yes, and see, you in that moment, they can take that step and start their own roll ice cream business.
Correct. because I went from eBay to, having my own store. It was a crazy journey, It had a
Yes.
lot of learning experiences.
Yes, and they can do it as well. Thank you, Krystle Phillips. Krystle Swearingen.
Oh, what I would say is, and I want to plug my website. My website is kind of getting worked right now. It's crystalsavesthedeal.com. For some reason, it's down today, but you can go on there. You can buy cobblers. You can find out about some of the courses and services I offer, where I help people get into real estate, give them tips and coaching advice as well. But I would say find a mentor. I think that's so important. One of the things that I've always had a calling towards is educating people. And being honest and authentic. So if you're starting a business or if you have an idea, what I tell most of the women on my podcast or who read the magazine, find someone who's doing what you want to do. Don't take them as the gospel, but find a way to create a foundation based on what other people have done, and then customize it to who you are and your personality. Because if you're not authentic and genuine, then it's going to be hard to sell or promote anything. And don't be afraid to say no. I've turned down so much business and real estate. I've turned down people who want to invest in my magazine because it doesn't fit properly. I've turned down, people who want to invest, period, because it hasn't felt right. And if it doesn't feel right, then don't force it. The money will come when it's ready to come, and just don't do anything that's outside of your values and who you are and what you believe your missions are. So
I think that's wonderful. We have to find out more about your podcast as well as your magazine. See if we can get Sharifa Hardy of As Sharifa in the Roundtable Talk Show.
everyone on this panel, I would love to have on my podcast or in my magazine. And I don't know when this is going to go live, but a thing that I'm doing for my November issue is offering small businesses free advertising in our online edition of the magazine. So send me stuff and promote your books or your services. I love that.
Beautiful.
Thank you. I'm gonna send it over to you because
Yes, please. Krystle saves the deal.
Krystle saves the deal. It will be up on the Facebook page today. It'll be on YouTube within 24 hours. So we're going to get you out there. But I know I definitely want to support you and participate in what you have going on. Mark, what do you have for us?
Sure. If you come to my website, thecareertoolkitbook.com, you can find where you can pre-order the book right now, or you can get a whole bunch of free resources. The book talks about topics that we've talked about today, such as how to find a mentor, dealing with imposter syndrome, and some of the other topics I brought up, like negotiating and networking. You can, if you don't want to buy the book, download the free app, use some of the other resources on the website. I just want to help you become better at these skills and be more successful in what you want to do.
Yes, and I don't see any reason in the world why they wouldn't want to pick up a copy of your book. Just a little tidbit of information I got today. I'm looking forward to my copy. So yes, pick up that book. Faith, what do you have for us?
So thank you. Just deep, profound gratitude. This has been a wonderful hour. Thank you, everyone, for just having such an open heart to discuss freely. So with the pandemic and for other reasons, right, there have been thousands of accidental entrepreneurs. So you just find yourself now on this island and you're looking and you're feeling lost. So the one thing I want to say is, no, you are not alone. Please remember what I said at the top of the hour. You and God are a majority. And believe that and know that to be your truth. And then know that he's going to send the people to help you along your journey. Just like he sent the ravens to feed Jeremiah, he's going to take care of you. So one of the places I want you to come get fed is on Facebook. My group is the Savvy Branders Tribe. So it's the Savvy Branders Tribe. Every Thursday at noon, I do an hour and a half of free brand training. Like, this is one of my things that I love to do to give back, because like I said, you're an accidental entrepreneur. You didn't set out to do this and you're looking for help. And one of the other things I think is so important. So I think, Krystle talked about the mentor. It's one thing to have a digital product, or even like, hey, right, get the book, Ladies Power Up Your Brand, available on Amazon. It's wonderful to do that. It is a unique experience to have somebody who's going to be a live person alongside you on the journey all the way. And that's what I offer, in addition to all the resources, in addition to my online course that's coming. But I want you to come in the tribe. I want you to feel like you're not alone. I want you to come close to the campfire. I want you to be able to talk to me, ask questions. There is no topic that I don't cover. And please just know that there's a slight chance you might get a word from the Lord in the process. So with that, thank you again. Everybody, you've just been such a joy. I feel so richly blessed for having met everybody, and this will not be our last time connoitering.
That's what I always say. Thank you for that, Faith, because I always tell people, and it's my little joke, once you come into the roundtable talk show or anything that I do, I tend to just hold you hostage and just keep you. You can't leave. You're now part of my tribe. I'm going to keep you and hold on to you, because the reason I do this is because so many people come to me and they say, Sharifa, I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. I'm broke, I'm fat, I'm homeless, whatever it is. And I can show them a show where someone has been in almost their exact situation and they've been able to do it. So together we can help other people become successful, and that's what I love to do. But I just want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for being a guest on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I
didn't make my shameless plug.
Go right ahead, Krystle. Shameless plug.
I didn't make my shameless plug, so you could visit me at rollicecream.com.
I love that. Not just visit though.
Product.
We don't
Yeah,
want
you can visit.
Right. We don't want
And
them to just visit. You go visit grandma. You go visit the zoo. Like, we want them to come and be a part, start their business, be a part of Roll Ice Cream.
Okay, well, let me show you something. Oh, I can't show. I would have shown you the animated video.
Yeah,
but I can't share.
We gonna allow you to you got 5 seconds for this 30-second video. There you go. Go ahead. We want to see. We all wanted to see the animated, so you got it.
Where's it back? So here you are.
Get left behind in the latest trend. Rolled ice cream is taking the market by storm.
We're not seeing it.
Yeah.
You're not seeing it?
No, we can hear it.
So we'll have to go to the website to go look at the videos.
That's right.
Probably.
We'll have to go to the website. So I want to thank everyone. No, it's okay. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, for everyone who joined us, for everyone who is watching this show. But please don't just watch the show. Please share the show. Please support our guests. Visit their websites. Follow them on social media. And when you reach out to them, when you talk to them, when you have that first mentoring session, or you buy that next house, or start that business with Roll Ice Cream, or pick up that Career Toolkit book, when you have that communication, please let them know Sharifa Hardy says hi. And if you are interested in ordering your tickets for the 2-day Powered by Purpose Empowerment Teleconference, or more ways that I can help you with your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at ashsharifa.com. Until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.